Today we're going to be talking about waistbands, specifically dress pants waistbands, and how to take those in. So I tend to like to buy my pants a few sizes too big, and I also really like to buy men's pants because I like the way they fit around my legs. I like really, really baggy pants. And I'm also pretty tall, so I sometimes need to buy pants that are a few sizes too big in men's because I need them to actually reach my ankles. So the other day I was at the thrift and I found a pair of dress pants in a color I really like, and they were about 2 sizes too big. I believe they were a size 32 men's, and my waist is about 28 inches. So I needed to take it in by a few inches, and I'm going to show you how I did that. So we're going to start by trying the pants on, and we're just going to take a couple pins and pinch at the side seams where we want to take the pants in, making sure they don't fit too tight and that you're still going to be able to comfortably slide the pants on and off, especially without poking yourself with a pin. But yeah, so you're just gonna roughly take in evenly on either side until you have a fit that you like and a fit that will stay on you. So we're going to want to mark where we had taken the pants in. I just did so with pins, but you can use a colored pencil if you'd like. And you're just going to measure the distance between those pins and write it down. And then you're going to do the same on the other side, just measuring between those pins, and then write that measurement down as well. And then we are going to add those measurements together to get the total amount that you need to take the pants in by. And you can use this measurement to make sure that you take each side in evenly. So before I take the pants apart, I just marked where the side seam meets the waistband. So you're going to take apart any stitching a couple inches from either side of the side seam so that the waistband is no longer attached to the pants in any way. This means removing tacks, removing this little white facing that you see underneath the waistband, until you have a couple inches of separation. Next, we are going to sew right side to right side, just with a straight stitch on our sewing machine. So this measurement is actually going to be a quarter of the measurement that we took initially between the stitch and the folded edge of the fabric that you see there. So we're going to do, this is the waistband piece, and then we are also going to do the side seam of the pants, which you will see in a moment, but you want to be really careful that you don't get any bunching or any weird folding because we really want this waistband to lay flat. And as well, when we sew the side seam, we want to blend it out really, really nicely to the hip so that we don't get any weird poking. If you do too sharp of an angle, you're going to have a weird bunch in your hips, and it's going to look like your hips are triangular, and that's not what we want here. We want something that will fit nicely. So yeah, you're just going to really slowly sew and blend to this the hip seam that we will see in a second. But yeah, so really take your time here. If you have a bigger measurement, it's going to take longer to blend into the hip seam. But for me, it was only about 3/4 of an inch, so it was pretty easy to blend it. You can see here how simple the stitch really is. It's not anything complicated. You just really want a nice curve there. And so now we can kind of see, this is the waistband unfolded, and that's the side seam. It looks really nice, really clean, but we want to put these back together now. So I'm going to take my shears. You can just use scissors, but this just keeps it from fraying as much. So I'm going to take my shears and just cut off any of the excess fabric on the waistband and then also the side seam of the pants. This is just going to make it a little less bulky and keep it neat as we attach the pieces back together. This is more of a home sewing technique. If I was working professionally, I would be using a serger right now, but at home, we really just kind of do what works. When you're cutting the side seam, you want to be careful that you don't accidentally cut into the actual pair of pants. You want to keep it just along the edge of the fabric, leaving maybe 1/4 of an inch from the stitching line that you created. Now that our waistband and side seam of our pants will fit us, we want to put them back together. So you're going to want to start with the outside of the waistband. So the right side that would show to other people when they look at you, and you're going to want to sew that to the right side of your pants. So we want to keep that waistband unfolded, and you also want to make sure that you match up with the stitching that you kept on the rest of the waistband. So we don't want any holes or anything because you didn't take the entire waistband off. You want to just match those lines together and make sure that the waistband is on there nice and clean and nice and tight. You can press your seams open. I didn't because I already have a lot of layers here and I figured that it would just get in the way. So I did make sure to pin them flat though, so that when I am sewing, they don't fold in the wrong direction. You can see me doing that here. But yeah, so we're just going to stitch those lines together on either side. And next we are going to take that little white piece in the inside of our waistband when we unfold it, and we want to re-stitch that to the seam allowance, which is the space that is past our new line of stitching that would show on the inside of our pants. So we're going to take this little white piece, and with about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch of space, we want to pin that to our raw edge seam allowance, and then we're just going to carefully sew. We want to make sure that this waistband remains unfolded though, because we don't want any of this stitching showing on the outside. So we're just going to sew along these lines here. This is our final product. This is after I pressed the waistband nice and flat. You can see it fits me a lot better than it did before. There's still a little bit of room, but it's perfect now.